me to walk this way. I told this way. Walk this way. Told this way. She told me to walk this way.
Welcome to day 4 of JumpInTheGun.ie's podcast from the World Track and Field Championships. We're all buzzing here, walking around, walking tall. We were going to have We Will Walk 500 miles, but our special guest for this evening, Colin Griffin, was going to refuse to join us here, so we agreed. So Colin, what's your aversion to walk 500 miles before we get into the real info?
I'm absolutely sick of it.
Okay, so obviously we've got an early morning start, 5:30am for the 50k walk, but let's recap for Laura Reynolds, 31st place in the 20k, and Colin, you coach her, and I know she was disappointed, and in the press release there she was gutted, but you were saying to me it actually wasn't that bad really.
No, it wasn't a disaster. Again, little disappointment, but again, you've got to look at her main target for the year was the World Student Games last month, where she finished 6th, and so again, she actually was sick for a few days after that as well. So to recover from that and to come out again 4 weeks later, and she actually repeated that performance in terms of time, almost equaling her season's best. Again, it was again not exactly what we would have liked, but it was still a satisfactory, solid performance, and there's so much to work on and improve on,
Yeah, and you were saying as well, her time I don't think was too far off her 20th place finish for the Olympics. Was it not too far off that time?
No, it was still about 2 minutes, but again, 2 minutes over 20k, more than a marathon or half marathon, is not an awful lot. And the big issue with Laura, especially this season as well, she's had a lot of injuries and illnesses which has disrupted her training, and she's had a lot of gaps in her training, and missed a few weeks at a time, which isn't ideal. And the older you get, it's more difficult to get away with that and to back it up. So again, that's something we've got to address this year. She's got we're working close with her support team and hoping to work on these weaknesses so that she can get a good solid winter behind her next year. And those things make all the difference. And perhaps with a more complete winter and spring behind her, she may well have been able to step up a level after the World Student Games and perhaps be closer to the performance she produced last year at London.
Okay, so I had a little bit of a gaffe there, always going to happen when you're not a technical walks aficionado. But again, you were saying though her performance have been a lot more consistent this year, and you believe she's got the potential to match the race walking legends such as Olive Loughnane and Gillian O'Sullivan.
Absolutely. All her age group times and her progression curve has been the same, if not slightly better, than Olive and Gillian, as you mentioned there. But she's come a long way in the sport the last 2 years. A year and a few months ago she hadn't hit the A standard yet for the Olympics. She qualified at the last minute. At the time she was only walking in around 94 minutes, so now she's consistently banging out 93-minute performances with a less than ideal preparation. So that's positive, it's solid, and something to build on. But as I said, she will be a small bit disappointed initially, but if you look at the bigger picture, there's a lot of positives and a lot of things to be confident about moving forward.
So that was a great solid performance, and it's exciting to see. Hopefully she'll continue on the rise. And she was also a classmate of mine in DCU doing PE in biology, and Ronan Duggan, who we'll bring in a minute with Jamie Davis, he's also a graduate of the PE and biology programme. So she's got you can't go wrong. Exactly. Nice sales pitch there for DCU. So while we're getting excited here, 5:30am, Robert Heffernan, is he going to win a medal, Colin?
Well, I'm not a fortune teller, but he's got a very good chance. A lot can happen. I suppose there's been some boost with the fact that the favourite from the race, the Olympic champion and twice previous world champion Serdar Kilyapkin of Russia, has withdrawn quite late, just a few days ago. But again, there's plenty of others there who can step up to the mark and challenge for the medals, and any one out of 6 or 7 could win a medal, and Rob is most certainly one of them. 50k walk is like a chess match early on. Anything can happen. You've got to be composed, you've got to be relaxed in the first 30k, and then be in a good position when the race really gets going from 30 to 35k onwards and be ready to attack. And Rob has done that before, and I've no doubt he will be in that position, all going well, tomorrow, and in with a shout.
So what is the feeling really in the 50k walk of the pain, the exertion that you're going through? I know you were going to you had to do the Dublin Marathon. I was going to try and use that as a comparison, but you had to withdraw through injury, so you can't quite use that comparison. But what kind of, for us on the sidelines, we're all athletes, but we don't really know what's going on in a 20k and particularly a 50k walk. It really is savage stuff.
It is, and the big thing you got to remember is with a 50k walk, obviously it's 8 kilometres or 5 miles longer than a marathon, but you also compete do multiple laps of a short circuit, so you're doing 25 laps of a 2k circuit, so mentally that's very tough. You see the whole race going on around you, unlike a marathon where it's point to point, you could be running blind for most of it, but you actually, particularly on a linear course where it's up and down, you can see your rivals, you know the gaps, you can time it, you can see if you're getting in trouble and someone's closing in on you, you can see that, which can be very tough mentally late on in a race. And also there's the judging aspect of it too. You've 8 judges along the course, and it only takes 3 judges, as I know myself, to disqualify you, so there's that part of it too. So again, later on in the race, when fatigue sets in and everything else, you've got to keep your technique together. You've got to be mentally strong as well as physically strong and conditioned as well. So
yeah, and we won't go into the disqualifications, but you're on the way back again. But what I wanted to say was as well, is there any? You were talking about the mental aspect of it. Is there kind of any mental techniques and rhythms, particularly on it? It's generally a 2k lap. I know Paula Ratcliffe said she used to do like counting rhythms. She'd count her steps and repeat the process just to kind of focus on the here and now, as opposed to thinking, God, I've got 20 kilometres to go and I'm in a heap.
Yeah, what has worked for me in the past in 50k races is I break the race down into 5k segments, and I concentrate on each 5k at a time, and use small little landmarks along the way, like when I take my drink station, my drinks, my fluids, my gels, things like that, or sponges, and that kind of just breaks it up, and you use each marker there just to kind of recap and have a mental check on things, and on technique and biomechanics and posture, and also where you're at in the race and tactics and all that as well. So that's something that has worked well for me, and I suppose Robert does something similar as well. I suppose the big thing, and the bigger picture, I suppose, it's like almost like the race is in 3 segments. The first part of the race where you have to be calm and relaxed and everything else and composed. The middle part, you've got to be in control, and that's where you can really kind of lose it or really kind of win it, And then it's the last 10 to 15k where you just got to be mentally tough. You've got to have reserves and to fight hard, and that's, like the middle part of it is a crucial one where you've got to keep yourself together mentally and physically and have some reserves for the last 10 or 15k, as you would do in a marathon.
Yeah, and of course, not forgetting another member of Team Heffernan, Brendan Boyce. He had a good 30th place in the Olympics last year, and he's certainly looking to build on that. He looks like he's made a greater commitment. He was in Efrain with Robert, high altitude training, and again in Guadix, where Robert loves to train as well, in Spain, another altitude training camp. So what can we expect from Brendan for this?
Yeah, Brendan finished 29th last year in the Olympics and had a PB of and took a few minutes off the PB, getting down to 3:55.01. So I think certainly he'll be pushing for top 25, top 20 in terms of finishing position, and also I think he's capable of knocking another minute or two off his 50k PB if conditions are right. Which, based on today, there was a little bit of a break, a bit of a cool in the temperature and drop in humidity, so maybe more favourable for faster times. Who knows? But so I think certainly he's going to be pushing for a top 20 and knocking another minute or two off his PB, and that would be very good progress and breakthrough for him again. It's his first World Championships, and the Olympics last year was his first major championships, and he's come a long way in the sport in the last 2 years, and made a big move then last year to move to Cork after London and to be coached by Rob as well, and he's trained quite well all year and adapted well to a new training environment and new training methods, and he has set a new 20k PB this year as well, so things look good for him.
That's brilliant. And the action gets underway at 5:30am. I know you're going to get up, Colin. Us fair with our fans will bring in our other jump in the gun colleagues here. We might get up at around 7 or half 7, and we'll get up for that. And you reckon the action is going to really get underway at 30k. So that's brilliant. We'll bring you back in again in a second, Colin. So over to Mr. Duggan here. 5k heats, Mo Farrell looking smooth. Anyone else catch your eye?
He looked extremely smooth. I think Edris, who beat Bekele in a 10k earlier on in the season, and was after winning a few 5ks, not on the major circuit, but he's after running close to 13 minutes a few times this season. He looked very impressive. Great kick at the end and beat 2 Kenyans. But Mo looked supreme. He was leading early on in the race as well, and never looked in any doubt. He started to kind of push it on after about 3k, and they blew the field apart. They're actually slower than the first heat up until Mo took it on, and they were actually finished about 8 seconds quicker. So he's clearly got the wheels still. Rupp looked very, very good as well, but we'll see how he deals with the Kenyan and Ethiopian threat coming from both heats.
Yeah, so we've got Alan Maru, Edwin Soy there, two of the main protagonists. And then a shout out, it was a great day for Australia. And of course I have affiliations there. I was cycling on the bicycle up in Fontferrand with Brett Robinson. He made a World Championship debut, 22, makes the World 5k final. He had a great race there in Heat 1. And then we'll go on to the 1500 metre semis, where we had Zoe Buckman. She's 2 from 2 now, won her heat, won her semi, and that's going to be an exciting battle. So we'll go back to the heptathlon, Mr. Davis, and we saw Melnichenko from Ukraine getting the win over Brianne Thiessen-Eaton, Ashton's better half, and he was nearly getting as much attention as the athletes by the screens going back to him constantly. And then Daphne Schippers skipping to the bronze from Holland. Pardon the pun.
Yeah, I'd say a lot of people might think Melnichenko was a bit of a surprise, given all the hype around Thiessen-Eaton, but she's been a solid heptathlete on the scene now for a few years. Schippers did well there in the 800. I think it was a 7-second PB at the end to pull her into bronze. She's a great 100 metre runner. I think she's European under 23 100 metre champion. She's an 11-1 girl, so some people might be wondering maybe would she be better applying herself to the short sprints maybe, and because the 200, which she wins all the time in the hep, but that's at the end of a long day. So could she capitalise maybe in future as a European sprinter, just concentrating on the sprints? But if she keeps working on her events, maybe she can challenge Jess Ennis at the top there, because there's no one as fast as her on track at the moment.
Yeah, and I think she should skip that short sprint as Cathal Dennehy's friends answering questions on such performance enhancing drugs. She might be under pressure if they're running 10.6, 10.7. She's not that fast. But you had a nice little learner, Jamie, in the steeplechase there. Chamos Chewa. She was generally Milka Chamos, but she's added in the Chewa at the end there now. So 9.11 and €130 for that big bank balance of yours.
Yeah, Miss Chamos, yeah, she's helping me out now, paying the college fund this year. I was worried because I seen Chewa on the single. I was thinking, where's Chamos here? But no, apparently she's got 2 names apparently, so I was delighted that €130. Another friend of mine made a substantial more, a bigger amount than that, but no, she did well, and it was a good race as well. 2 Kenyans, Chamos and Kip Karuri, first and second, and with a Sifa from Ethiopia in third, which Sifa actually fell and managed to claw back into bronze position. So thankfully she fell, or she probably would have came first, and that would have been the end of my earner.
Yeah, and ruining other people's accumulators who wish to remain nameless, but we won't name them. And then, speaking of your college fund, you gave Nick Simmons UCD singlet last year, and he looked on course for the gold. I know Madra Chamney over there in Sweden, he's been banished over there, and Abib Aragewi was representing Sweden in that 1500. She's the heavy favourite for that. She's going to win gold in the 1500, and it's up to the others to get the medals. But what about that 800? Mohammed Aman becoming the first Ethiopian to win an 800 metre title.
Yeah, that 800 was great actually. I think Simmons, I think he could have won that, but I think I'll give you over to Ronan now, like he's more of the 800 special. But when I was watching that race, I thought Simmons maybe went a bit too early. He probably saw the goal down the end of the tunnel and thought, I'm going to go for this. Maybe if he left his move to maybe another 100 metres later, he could have maybe held on at the end. Yeah,
and Ronan, I thought, if you look at that race back again, if anyone cares to look back on YouTube or Red Buttons and etc., Ayanle Suleiman, if you look at the way he ran, I think he really could have won. He got himself in bad positions, had to make a big move down the back straight, and then he got boxed again, and then came round again and came up for the bronze. But I think that was a race nearly gone for him, and he is of course part of Jama Aden's training group, and Mohammed Taufik McCluffy, who I met up bowling in Fontramall while I was up there mixing with the stars.
Yeah, I think Suleimani was actually it was the dark horse, I think, in that one. He was 8-1 on Stan James, if anyone cares to go back and look. But he was very much a dark horse. A man was a massive favourite, really, looking into it, and just reading on Let's Run, they were saying, going back over it, how could we not have thought this guy was going to win? He's been undefeated all season. He's around 143 a bucket load of times. It's just that he's had a bit of a grimace on his face. That was the only reason anyone thought he was going to lose. Solomon going out hard, as we all expected him to do, basically acting like a pacer. I don't know where anyone got any idea he was going to run away from guys who were as quick as him, but he went out hard. Simmons, I think, moved maybe at 370, and there was no real need for the amount of effort he put in there, and I think that's what actually cost him in the end. He made a big move at 370, got into position, and then almost led equally with Solomon up until about 550, which he didn't need to do. He could have sat in there maybe, but then again he might have got boxed in. But he really ran out of legs in the last 50, and the man came through, ran the perfect race.
Aman, the man from Ethiopia, of course, preserved normally for the longer distances, but they've got their 800 win, and then they've got, I don't think she could be in the start field. They haven't started the 800 women's yet, but Fantu Magisu, great pronunciation there for me again, but she's another Ethiopian potential star over the half mile distance, and another.
She has pulled out of a lot of races this season though, so whether or not she turns up is a different story.
A potential star then for future championships will suffice there. And there was good fun on BBC. They were saying to Michael Johnson about the Ethiopians could be going down to the one lap, but Michael Johnson flat out just said teamwork and team tactics won't work on that.
Well, me and Ronan were actually tuning to Eurosport now. We enjoyed the commentary of Tim Hutchins a lot more than the BBC, but I can't see any Ethiopians touching the one lap at all there, Nelly.
We never know, and a couple of Kenyans are good at the 4 as well. They just need to get over to the American colleges. Their dominant days could be on the way. So Colin, will bring you back in. I'd say you were impressed with the pole vault, both as an aesthetic view as well as the obviously top class performances. And Yelena Isinbayeva, she came back, got her 3rd world title, looked like she was on the way out with Jen Soar now starting to dominate, winning the Olympics last year, but she's back.
Yeah, I mean, she's a great competitor and she can always raise her game when it matters most, and I think it was just fitting kind of for her being dominant in the event for so many years to actually do that in her home championship, and particularly when the stadium did kind of finally fill up and there's such an electric atmosphere. It was great for the sport, I think, and the event.
Yeah, and sticking to BBC, lads, I know you're Eurosport fans. I know they do show a bit more athletics, but as Paul Dickinson said, he implored, stay, the sport needs you and we love you. So, Yelena, if you're listening in, we do love you. So, going from there, it was a bit of a disappointing end track-wise. We had LaShawn Merritt and his former drugs fail for supposed deficiencies of his masculinity.
Growth hormone there, Nelly.
Yeah, but again, 43, 74 PB, and then King James fading to 7th.
Yeah, I think James is an experienced shoulder. He's still only 20. Merritt has 7 years on him. Merritt killed off James within the first 200. I think he split 20.7 going through 200 metres. And James, or Merritt's a 19-second guy, and like James, he still doesn't have that raw speed yet. And unfortunately, like James, he ran Merritt's race and he paid the price in the last 100. Big time, he faded right back into 7th place, which allowed Tony McQuay, last year's NCAA champ, to come into 2nd. He's starting to quiet down his critics now, McQuay. He bombed last year at the Olympics. He looked like a medal hope. But he came into 2nd,
And a PB.
I think it was a PB, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm fairly sure,
44.5, I think. And we saw a late surge from Llewellyn Santos, last year's silver medalist. Jeez, he must have covered that last 100 metres in about 10.9, maybe.
And he did in the semi. He really came through the flourish yesterday in the semi too.
Santos kept his cards close, alright. He denied Jonathan Borley. I think it's Jonathan, or not. We're going to go with Jonathan here. He denied him a European medal there. It would have been nice to get it's been a while since we had a European medal in the 400. Right in the line there, Borley ran a season's best. I think it was 44.5, and then
did Borley not win a medal in 2011? Not one of the Borleys?
I think he might have. Actually, he did, yeah.
We're on a few bloopers, because I was going to say, you guys were looking good for the technical aspect. We had 370 metres from Duggan. He must have had the Garmin out in the wheel for that. And then you had 20.7 split there for the 200. I was up and down from the laptop trying to
right then, I apologise with that mistake there, but
we'll give you forgive you, as Colin said. He has the IAAF thing here up on his nice iPad. Speaking of which, there's this IAAF app I keep meaning to download, but I haven't. Colin, you're not overly impressed by the app?
I was very bad for particularly the endurance events and the women's 20k this morning, because usually you get your 1k splits, live splits as they go along. Once with the chip timing registers, it comes up on the screen, and there was no splits at all during the race this morning, which is very frustrating. So I was relying on a few people who are on the ground who are able to tweet them live. So that was just one flow anyway. Maybe if my priorities are wrong, I don't know, but
No, that's good. It looks impressive here. I had advice from the homestead to slow down my talking. I get it, talk a bit fast, but that's because of the exciting action. And Jamie, we haven't forgotten the discus, and I know you like your wrestling. Robert Harting ripped off that singlet as usual, like Hulk Hogan. He'd no hurdles to hop like in London last year, but he still excited the crowd and those at home. I know those closer to home in Colin's household weren't too impressed, but we loved it anyway.
Yeah, I think Hearthamania was running wild there in Moscow tonight. That's his party piece now, you know. The photographers knew what was coming. They all gathered around him, and he teased him for a second. Maybe he wasn't going to do it, but no, he ripped that German singlet to shreds. I'm not sure about how his association feel about that. I know some associations only give out one singlet, but maybe he has a few knocking around the bag.
And Mr. Silver, Pavel Malachowski will commit to that one, and then Gerd Cantor. Which was it?
I thought it was Malachek, no?
Malachek, okay.
Oh, no. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, back to this trusty app here. Malachowski, I think, is the right one with 68.36 metres, and Gerd Cantor with 65.19. We've got some extra technology here today, which is great. So, Mr. Silver, Duggan, who did you have? Did you bet on the discus?
Oh yeah, I had Harting. I do like the look of Cantor as well. I think he's thereabouts, but Harting just has too much for them. It's only if Harting messes up are you going to see those two guys get the gold. But Petter of Polish fame there, I can't pronounce his second name. He's always good for our silver, as you just said. But yeah, discus, I think we're all just waiting for that. The ripping off of the top really was the highlight of the day.
Yeah, and he just has to match. That's 3 in a row. I think he has to get one more to match Lars Riedel, his countryman, who has 4 world titles. So I think on that note, any final thoughts for us here, Colin, for the walk, as opposed to getting up early in the morning from 5:30 onwards?
No, I mean, it should be an exciting race. I suppose it'll be funny for myself to kind of sitting there watching it as opposed to being competing in it, unlike other years. But it'll be interesting to watch it from the outside and see how the race unfolds. And yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be an exciting race, no doubt about it. And hopefully there'll be Green Singish up there in the mix.
Brilliant. So we will leave the 1500 women's there. We've come to a close, I think, for this podcast, and we're going to walk on out of here. And thanks very much, Colin. And we might even finish out with your favourite song, I Will Walk 500 Miles.
Into